Hi everybody, this is Ellie. Thank you so much for joining me today for a flip through of the month of May in my A5 size bullet journal. If you saw my last video, which I will link up above, I have my Leuchtturm in this gorgeous folio from Sojourner. I wanted a leather cover that felt like it was an extension of the notebook itself, and that is how this feels to me. It's a nice thin leather, so it doesn't add much bulk at all. It's a snug fit, and it feels really good in the hand. It's a slightly grippier leather, if that makes sense, and I know it's going to mark up beautifully. I'm keeping my future log in this front pocket, which I did share in the last video as well if you wanted a peek. And this is my new double pen loop from the Superior Labor Company. I absolutely love having my Tombow of the month and the pen that I'm using always with my bullet journal. One of the things that I am getting used to though is the fact that because this clip sits on the front cover instead of coming out to the side, which makes sense, you couldn't do that with a double pen loop without it being really wide. It does mean that this front cover doesn't lay flat on the writing surface. So when I flip it, it just kind of sits and it's pretty sturdy, but it still has some movement and is just lifted. Whereas I've been used to using this Leuchtturm completely flat. It's not bothering me. Right now I'm still in the front half of this notebook, so it's pretty even. I don't know if it'll bother me more once I get towards these end pages, or if it's something I will get used to. That's kind of the trade-off for having these always with my notebook. I know there are other clips or maybe pouches that I could use, but I love the idea that this one stays on, that it's absolutely gorgeous, and that it has just enough space for two pens, so I can keep it as simple as possible. Well, I guess one would technically be simpler, but you know, still pretty simple. So right now it's working for me. It's not bothering me, but it is noticeable, and I just wanted to mention it in case any of you were thinking of getting it as well. Getting into the bullet journal itself, I've been keeping up with my index. I added where the month of May started. I included some journal prompts, so I referenced those. I put in the kind of journaling I did when we said goodbye to Dezi, and then I put where the month of June started. Not much has changed for my future log. In June, I had a note that I wanted to look into figure drawing resources, so if any of you have any recommendations, I would love to hear them. We come to my goals, my first tab spread, and then my movement and meditation tracker. I did consistent tracking in May, which I'm really happy about. I'm starting to get back into more consistent movement, which is great. And meditation is still slow going, but you know, anything is better than nothing, and I'm working on it. For the moments, I did write that we went to a park that was really nice and peaceful, and I also included some journaling again about saying goodbye to Dezi. So these moments are for anything that's meaningful to me. They don't necessarily have to be happy moments. I had this really sweet sticker. It was a custom by Crystal Create of Dezi, and it was just perfect to include in here. I will link to my May setup video where I talk about the pens I've used and where the washi and stickers are from. But I think looking back at this bullet journal, I will realize that May is really where my layouts, format, and style started coming together. April was kind of setting up the basics, getting back into an A5 size bullet journal and learning what worked, what didn't, what I wanted to tweak. And I was able to carry that over into May and make some changes as I went. So if you just watched my June setup, this is going to look very familiar. I have my calendar and monthly spread all together with this, I guess, Dutch door in the middle. This spread really helps me see the month at a glance. This is how I prefer to see my appointments and any events. The Calendex works for me, but not nearly as effectively as this. I'm a visual learner, so being able to actually picture the calendar helps me to remember things. So I was pretty consistent with my content scheduling. You know, May was a difficult month and I did take a break from all things journaling, as you'll see. Even here, I have some blank space, but I came back to it. It was here for me when and how I needed it, and I'm thankful for that. My habit tracking, I loved this setup. If you remember from April, I tried this layout for habit tracking and it just didn't work for me at all. I really function better with a horizontal tracker. And as you can see, pretty consistent. I also ended up adding in these little icons for my weekly goals that connect directly to my power sheets. So I drew myself a little key, but again, I just shared this in my June setup, so I don't want to bore you guys, but you know, date, meditation, meal prep, and content planning. And it was just here, subtle, I could check it off if I did it and just do a dot if I didn't. Calendex, for me, this is all memories, which is great. My tasks, this is also something new that I started in May. I draw a progress bar. All the tasks with the progress bars are the ones that come straight from my power sheet goals. Any other tasks, I just put in and do a regular task dot. This was another brand new spread for me in May, and it turned out that I really enjoyed it. So basically, I just draw the line to separate the weeks, and then I don't focus on the numbers here. I write down any Instagram posts that I think I may want to include that week, and then if I include them, I just mark it off with an X. It's not assigned to any specific day, it's just things that I'm feeling excited about sharing. And then when it comes closer to the time, I will, plug it into this part of my calendar. At the bottom here, I just penciled in the YouTube videos that I wanted to make. Didn't get to some of them. I did this one, I didn't check it off. And this works really well for me, which is why I don't think I changed a single thing for June. Nope, I didn't. It's all the same, and I'm happy with that. Moving into my dailies, again, figured out what worked and really stuck with it. This was the Tombow 942, and I used it to highlight the day and also to draw the line that separates my signifier from the writing. If you remember, in April, I was drawing that line with whatever pen I was using at the time, which was working just fine, but I like how much subtler it is with the Tombow. I also considered not using the line, which works fine, but what I've realized now is I have gotten really accustomed to following this line down to see if I have any open tasks. So I'm leaving it in because honestly, it's working so well. I love how it works. So there's no need for me to change it. So yeah, you'll see maybe a few different writing styles for my headers, a couple of doodles. Paul and I spontaneously baked Dezi some soft cookies, which he enjoyed. When we started our Lord of the Rings rewatch, I drew in a little Gimli and my axe quote, which I always love. These are May journal prompts from Archer and Olive. It wasn't from her main account. I think it was called Archer and Olive Community, maybe? I will put that on the screen. I had asked on Instagram which prompts people were enjoying, and this was recommended a few times, and I like anything mental health or mental wellness related. So the idea was to use these in my Hobonichi cousin, which is my journal and memory keeper. And in the past, I have usually printed out the list and put it in the cousin itself, but I wanted to put it in my bullet journal so that I could have this open beside my cousin and not have to be flipping back and forth. And I really, really love how this spread turned out. It was great to have these in here, and honestly, I will probably return to these prompts at any point that I kind of want a journaling prompt or a mental health focus. I didn't use it every day in my journal. You guys know me, I am not that consistent right now, but I loved having it here for when I did want that prompt. You see my same signifiers, you know, appointments, tasks, notes, TV, memories. This was Mother's Day. So some days you'll see are longer. I think here, like look at Monday. Monday was a whole column. And then this week I had, you know, 6 days on one page. That's what I love about this. When I'm prepping my page, all I do is I will just draw these 2 lines, and I only do it 1 page at a time. That way, you know, I always have an open page if I want to do any sort of spread that, you know, isn't a daily log, and I just continue as I go. It's really, really manageable for me, and I do try to always keep this rings ruler in here so that I have the ruler at hand. So some video notes, a little sticker from TheCoffeeMonsterzCo. I love that YouTube button. And this is the day that we said goodbye to Dezi. I had started journaling here, but ran out of space. So I do keep the part of the paper that I cut off from my monthly spreads just in this back pocket here. So you can see here's another one that was just folded in. So I just used some washi tape to put that in here and finished my journaling. I printed off this picture of Dezi and put a little quote, and I love this. It's sweet and sad to have him in here, but it's, you know, important to me, and I'm glad that it's here with kind of the rest of my life. So after that was a hard week, and I did not get into my journal at all. So when I don't get into it, I do usually try my best just to jot my notes directly in here. If I'm not even pulling out the notebook itself, I will often turn to a Post-it. This is my scribble writing right before I go to bed. And I did think about transcribing it in here, but in the end, I just stuck the Post-its itself, and I did write the dates on them, and that's fine. They fit just fine there. You know, I know exactly what I was going through at this time and why I have these Post-its here, and I just continued on the next page. Very, very simple, pen and paper only. I mean, my Tombow as well. Included a little doodle there because there was the space for it. And I really, really like it. I'm using the plus sign again for health. So for me, I will write any movement that I'm doing, if I have a doctor's appointment, and any notes. If I'm, you know, really headachy or if I'm sore anywhere, I will include that as well. And that carries us right to the end of May. I did end up having this empty page, so I put in a quote that I saw somebody post last year and really, really loved. I think this turned out really pretty and soft, and it's just really nice to have in here before we flip right into June. So in the A5 size, the month of May took up less than 20 pages. I started on 46 and ended on 61. I'm really enjoying the bigger size. I think it just lets me feel like I have space to kind of really make mistakes or just, you know, do whatever, a ton of notes if that's what I feel like doing, trying different layouts, and just having fun with it without feeling a whole lot of pressure. I hope that you guys are enjoying whatever systems that you're currently in. And it's always nice to look back and see a reflection of my month in this analog planner journal form. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.